Welcome back in Black Ice, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 10.33. And of course, we're playing as Germany, and I hope you're getting the AC/DC reference with Back in Black. Okay, we're gonna tweak this a little bit. Here we go. We're starting to get some fighters into production, submarines. So let's look at some of our production total setups here. These will come around again. Again, the heavy industry, if you don't know, and I know probably most of you know, is a modification percentage of this. So I don't know if the reason it was added is to be able to have effectively more than 10 in one city. Sure, fine, good. And it's easier to just, I guess, add this than trying to add more slots to the game. Oh, we're not even building one there. So it's easier to do that. And so I get it, but they found very quickly it was, shall we say, unbalancing because people would just spam in the heavy industry in one place very rapidly. So they can only be added by events, including, say, the annual national focus events. I think it's normally 2 a year. Okay, and we're going to come over here and we're going to, there's 2 new ones there. And I want to also just, because I think we'll be able to build more at one time. So we will build some in non-focus, but I'm generally building somewhat to the east as opposed to the west to stay out of bombing ranges. Okay, so we have that. We'll just move these guys to the bottom of the list. Some of these, it doesn't really matter if we keep them so much. They've been added by the event. But these obviously matter because they're partly completed. I mean, some of these are mostly completed, but we'll get through those fairly quickly, even that with the 14 IC needed to get through. Now, what I have done is, done off camera, I went in and edited the save game and added the rocket test site. Now, we paid for the rocket test site through the event, and it was supposed to be almost complete to put it on the map. So it helps your building practicals instead of just, putting it in the production queue to add your building things. It didn't work. So I canceled that. For some reason, it got shuffled way down low and you needed to fully build the thing. And since we already sort of paid for it, I stopped it. So I went back and corrected that mistake in editing the save game. And just in case, if I wish there was a save game editor that would make it good. It's a text file. Fortunately, they changed the format for Hearts of Iron 4, so it's no longer a text file. So it's really difficult to edit that. But basically just found out, and it's 1681 is the number for that province. And I just went in and copied and pasted from another one the values to have that there. So not cheating, just we paid through the event. And yeah, it's cheaper to go through the event than it is to build it normally, but still we did that. And I didn't want to fire the event again, which would make us pay for it again, which might or might not work. Okay, so machine gun focus, that's for fighter aircraft. That'll be over here. Okay, I think we still have a little bit in the red, so we will continue. And that fluctuates a little bit on political support, popularity. You get high popularity, get some more, as well as other things potentially. Okay, twin engine bomber and controllable pitch. That's a one and done, I know. Twin engine bomb bay advance. is not. I'm also pretty sure, yeah. So we will, now that we're all done here, let's look at some of these things. Political, we'll be doing that eventually, but I'm just looking. Oh, okay, so we've got one of three now, I guess. Why isn't it slowly moving across the table? Oh, well. Oh, we're researching one. Okay, that's it. Some of that's been benefited by events. Yeah, I almost was going to do that just for sure, but let's start working our way through this, I think. There we go. And what decision do we have available? Okay, a bunch. Yes, we want to order the Prinz Eugen. Lay down in Kiel. Lose metal. Yes, we have enough, just barely. For infantry division first. Well, yeah, we'll take the full division. Cost more in supplies, manpower. Forming these guys. Yes. 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 And yes. There we go. The action we need to do there now. Some of these are from recently formed units. So we're getting them. We still have to build them. They will, ICs will be adjusted over time, including there, but they're partially done that we paid for them. So yeah, Prinz Eugen, yeah, we still have to build that, but just adds a historical ship to the mix. Move those to the bottom, maybe those two. They're not very expensive individually. I don't know. And 3-year draft war economy. Okay, so this is always sort of during wartime. We can see here minus 5% in consumer goods needed. But obviously we are in peacetime, so it's plus 15%. We're already at plus 10%. Now we're having zero made because of our other functional elements, other modifiers. So that's 5% more. Reduces our money down more by only 5%, but ups it by 15%. ICs, and that is probably doing all that math. Consumer goods. If I hover over something, okay, yeah, here we go. Base value plus 10%. We require 11% of ICs. Okay, so basically we need 11%. Currently mobilized and reserve brigades require 11% of our ICs. Now we have a base value plus 10%, but a minus because we're axis of 20%. The oust foreign minister minus 5%. The full mobilization plus 10%. The mixed industry minus 2%. The small entertainment shows minus 2%. And available disaffects. Okay. So 5%. Okay. 25. Okay, we have a 20. Yeah, it's going to pop it up, but not a lot, but probably nowhere near equal to our not mixed in. You can't do heavy industry yet. Or here, war economy probably will be a net positive. Yeah, we've got a bit more descent going there now. So long as we got more than basically 11 ICs. Yeah, let's do that. Ooh, we need a lot more supplies. A lot more supply production. This is where in the range of what we're actually producing. And more events. So prepare industry for war. Okay, that's because we've gone over to a war economy. And we give them money for rare materials. No, I don't think so. That does bump up our need. Yes, I want to deploy motorized to my motorized support brigades. I don't know if those are repeatedly being spammed or not. Okay, because we do want to bring that down to 0, so that's why we're doing more there. Okay, we have 30 some more than we're needing. Okay, so right now, well, let's take this down by 5 ICs. There we go. That'll put a little into here so that we're clearing out some of that. I want to get through those fighters in the submarine there to then produce the additional factories. As we continue to grow the economy. Okay, down by 7, down by 8, up by 3. Let's look at who has excess money here. Iran. They probably won't buy, but we can try. Oh, well, okay, they need half a supply each day. They're down by. I'd rather have a long term of that than. Okay, they've got money. They need supplies. And a short term brief. They don't like us politically enough to do so. Turkey probably won't also buy from us, but let's just see if there's something other than impossible. Okay, they need fuel, they need supplies. Nope. And we will try to sell. Okay. 10. Okay. Yeah, let's drop it down back by that. Okay, let's see if they'll take that. Just partially for convenience sake. Well, we have a positive of steel. Might as well see if we can. They are. Well, let's see. Can we sell them 2 steel? Cool. I mean, it's hardly any money. Well, do they want steel? No, not enough to buy from us. Okay, improve Special Forces branch of advance. That needs to be done. Der Deutsches Polizei Blatt or whatever, just basically a police magazine for police departments. Coordinate tactics. Who the bad guys are. The Reich Colonial Bund. I say no. I'm not doing this because we do have Tanganyika installed, which I believe, I haven't actually played through this, it's just maybe my arrogance, but I believe I put more energy and effort. Not to say that there isn't maybe good stuff in here, and maybe stuff that isn't covered by maybe. I don't know that isn't already covered by what we're doing, but I don't want to spend all that money and whatnot. And I do know there is already a very good. Now that might theoretically could be better, but I think in practice now it may give other benefits because Tanganyika doesn't really deal with Cameroon up here, doesn't really deal with old German Southwest Africa down here, a little bit down here, but it doesn't really, just a little bit. It's mostly focusing in on Tanganyika, and I just don't want to do the same thing twice, as it were. So again, I'm not saying it's bad or wrong or anything in that nature. It's just we're already doing a version of it. Now we want to come here. Let's do that. Okay. And yes, we need more of that. Now that we've got some more money coming in, let's go by name. We know where the US is. They don't have much money. They need supplies, but they have oil. So let's see if we can buy some oil, which is like not very likely. Okay, we need 7. So not that we can't use, we can't use 24, but let's do 14. Should put us a little bit in debt trade balance wise, but hopefully then we'll be able to, before that goes too low, turn around and sell them some supplies. Motorsports Schulen des NSKK, another TRE event. They had a bunch of these sort of basically school 6-week driving and mechanic courses at its 23 schools that are, you can see the garages here, the main sort of building there. I presume they're all similar. That's just one photo I found. So we're going to spend the supplies, get an additional training base. And the training bases help out, and it wasn't, I don't think the event would be equivalent of 23 training bases or anything like that. Okay, we've got that done. Okay, well, that was, I think, something over here. I think. Oh, it was this one right over here. That one. Okay, they just came about 38. And yeah, let's get direct fire unit training. Okay, so the only thing we haven't done is the draft. I think we're doing okay for manpower. Later on, we'll do more of that, and we're not deploying these, because if we don't deploy these, they won't cost us supplies, as far as I know, to maintain them. True, they won't upgrade either, but it's not a big deal right now as the units get better. Okay, I've talked about this before. This is a really good illustration of the Nazi Party organization, how they are a totalitarian party. Der Block, die Zelle, die Ortsgruppe, der Kress. I presume that's a similar sizes like in a Wehrkress, Wehr being military or Wehrmacht or armed forces or whatever, Kress, or however you pronounce that, being a region. And then of course der Gau, the whole area, as in like Gauleiter or a Gau. So it's sort of like province, but not exactly, obviously, or otherwise it'd just be province. And we were last episode talking about the WHW, the Winter Health Work kind of intimidation tactics. This is part of that idea, but it's just every part of your life, whether it's your factories, your schools, your public pools, your public football grounds, your big party meeting grounds, the beach. Everything is organized as part of the party, which is, everywhere, everything. You must be part of the party. To not be is, we can see it sort of in the extreme at this time, with the Jews being ostracized from most all of this. They're not yet being put into camps because they're Jews. That only happens for the final solution in after World War II starts, and after 41, I think it's 41 with the invasion of the Soviet Union is when that really starts. Before then, they were ostracized from most of society. Now, they could, if they so choose, at this point in 36, leave Germany. But they can't really take anything, and particularly money, with them. You see some movies like, don't think it was this. Well, maybe it was the Saint series or the Falcon, which, depending, some of the same actor played some of the both roles that were shot. Movies were shot in maybe a little bit later, 38 through 1940 plus, 45 plus times. Some of these series, the Falcon, the Saint movies, which I've watched all of them. You see the sort of person, in one case, the plot is a very rare and valuable postage stamp that, like, somebody in Germany or somewhere in occupied Europe, or could have been Czechoslovakia or wherever, to smuggle out their money, they buy a stamp somewhere in here, and stick it onto a letter. Don't ever mail it because they don't want it canceled, and bring it to America. And then, of course, bad guys get it, and the plot of the movie is to get it back, or some jewels or whatever that's being smuggled out. There are probably more in jewels than postage stamps, but there's definitely a realization going on that it's very hard to get money out of these countries and any substantial property. Not saying you couldn't pack a few suitcases full of regular type, even nice, but regular type clothes and get out. If you're Jewish, you most certainly could. There are rare exceptions, certain sensitive political people, whatever, that might just be locked up instead and would have already been locked up. But mostly you could get out, but you're basically leaving everything behind. Your physical, land, property, bank accounts, whatever else. So unless you had the foresight before, and the means before the real harsh crackdown of getting your money out, you're going from being what you think might just be a bad time in Germany for a few years, but being, maybe okay. And you got to realize, people back then, whether they're Jews or not, they spoke German. Showing up in France penniless? No one is saying in France, you're welcome here, you can stay as long as you want. No, I mean, not that they couldn't stay, but they're not sure of it. Or showing up in Britain, or we will see some stuff where the U.S. is refusing entry in. So penniless people without a country in Europe, it's a very hazardous situation. So even if you're not Jewish and you're just again, if you're, hardcore communist, socialist type person, you've probably already been locked up. But if you just sort of have sympathies in those directions and you're realizing, hey, it's a bad time here, maybe I ought to leave, you don't necessarily have a place you can go, as a penniless person. They're not accepting refugees everywhere. This changes to some degree once you see, like, Poland's invaded. France is like, yeah, hey, all Poles that want to show up, great. And if you're military aged and whatnot, you're going into the army. That's sort of why you're showing up, to go into the Polish, units. But other Polish refugees, yeah, sure, because you're now a refugee from an allied country. But that isn't the case in 36 for the most part. And so a lot of people are sort of trapped into this. So either you're an outcast, but you're still here, or you're part of this system that's going. And so we have organization, and I'm not exactly sure how organization relates more to popularity. Obviously, we can see popularity here increases that, which, and I hope the organization helps cement that. Reich Ministerium, Speer there's Goering. Close up of them. Examining the model for the big Luftwaffe ministry. And there's another picture of the model that he builds. And we're doing that. Build a school for the SS Schule Tolz, bad Tolz. Can do that or not. We're going to do that. Improves leadership, gain some officers. We gotta get this up. Okay. We might even import some steel, even though we're exporting some steel. Okay, what does the U.S. want to offer us? We would give them supplies for money. Absolutely, please. Okay. Hungary will no longer get money for supplies. Okay. UDET leads T-amped. I don't maybe read this in the earlier playthrough, but in April 36, Prince Udet, a prominent flying ace of World War I, was promoted by Goering to lead the T-amp, short for technical office. By appointing Udet this critical position, Goering effectively interfered with the influence of the excellent organizer in aviation, Secretary General Milch. The organizational development of the early Reichsluftwaffe, together with the effective buildup of a German aviation industry, was mainly a responsibility of Milch, who, if I'm not mistaken from my memory of my readings, Milch is very much later on an ally of Speer. They work sort of together. Obviously, Milch, this is, starting, I think it's late 41 that we get to see Speer as a head of armaments ministry, but Milch is still running the sort of Luftwaffe part of it, and very much getting along with Speer and Speer's plans. Speer understands, or Milch understands much better than Speer technically what is needed for Luftwaffe operations. This angered Goering to demonstrate his overarching influence on all things concerning the Luftwaffe. Goering de facto disempowered Milch and placed Udet in the crucial posting. Udet had no real interest in this job, especially the bureaucracy of it. Yes, and we'll see more of that going on. That is Udet there, and that is Milch. I think I should know who that is, but I don't know, and I have no real clue who that is. And no, I haven't looked up more than just recognizing the faces. Now, I've talked about here, one of the things that when you see President of the Reichsbank, Propaganda Ministerium, Führer of the Third Reich, Deputy Führer, Reichsminister des Intern, all these names, all these special titles, that means I've gone in and tweaked the stats for each of the offices, as opposed to, I think this one has a bunch. Some of these other alternatives out here that are just autocratic charmer, they've been given to it. Was it Revolver Held or Oh no, I think it was the D-worm. Gave me a bunch and just said put them into TRE, because instead of having to have the same file tweaked again. So he added a bunch of other possible historical people that are around, but they just have the standard sort of descriptions and effects from them. So they're real people, but and they're how do I put this? Possible contenders. Sometimes I say this is the best person for this job. Well, of the reasonably possible people, like, I don't know, of all the Luftwaffe generals that I know of, Milch is the best guy to run. Again, I'm not an expert on the Luftwaffe, but from all my reading, Milch is the best person to run the sort of production end, whether it's the technical development end or just simply managing the already designed but emphasis on production and managing the production of aircraft and other supporting equipment. Of all the possible people that are, of the likely pool, generals in the Luftwaffe or whatever, he is the best person. That doesn't mean that there isn't some Luftwaffe corporal who, if he was given the job, would do 10 times better. That very well may be, but they're not going to happen. But one of the major considerations that I put in with all of these, and especially somebody like Goering, is his closeness and his influence with Hitler. And so, like Goering, who we will have as armaments minister, and here he's described as Reichswerk HG for Hermann Goering. He sort of messes up with money and land organization for the army. That might not look very good, but he does push more resources out, again, more representing Reichswerk HG for that there, and again, more emphasis on the Luftwaffe as being armaments minister. Now, Milch isn't, I don't think, considered here a possibility as an armaments minister. Now, that would be an interesting person that would, really increase Ritter von Epp. Well, yeah, he is just an infantry proponent. He is the one that's in charge of the Reich Colonial Bund group. Doesn't have a lot. Okay, he's not here as possible, but that would maybe be a good possibility for someone who is a heavy focus on the Luftwaffe. But he gets sort of a lot of his power later on because he's buddies with Speer, and Speer can literally, unannounced, just get in his car and drive up to the Berghof, this place, drive up to this driveway here, get out of his car, and some driver will go drive it to wherever, they're parking the car, walk up in here, and literally walk into the room that Hitler's having dinner at. Anytime he feels like. Nobody's going to stop Speer, even if he's not on the guest list. And probably Hitler would say, have you eaten, Speer? No? Here, clear a place for Speer to sit down and have some food. That is the level of access. Now, Hitler may then go immediately back to his conversation that he was having before Speer walked into the room. But Speer can, and the other name I was forgetting and I was looking at was Martin Bormann. Martin Bormann, I don't know if he should be here as maybe... Now, I bring him in later, so maybe he's not an option now. I bring him as, head of government as a, once Rudolf Hess goes away, as sort of deputy leader, Bormann. But meaning Bormann, the appointments secretary and sort of controlling access, who gets to get in and see Hitler. He would never even consider stopping, pausing, unless it's like, Hitler, I'm having this secret meeting with whoever, don't let anybody in. Yeah, at that point, you could stop Speer from coming in. But just in the social occasions of a dinner, or the tea house, afternoon walks up to the tea house and back, Speer can show up at any moment and drop a word into Hitler's ear within an hour or two and leave. He doesn't need an appointment. That is how close a relationship that Speer has out of friendship, just purely out of friendship, even before he's armaments minister, just when he's the architectural buddy of Hitler. That's sort of why he has this stuff. So Speer has this immense power because of this, and there are very few others that do. Goering is one of them. So these groups often compete, sometimes almost in not open warfare, as in like shooting each other or shooting each other's allies, but as a sort of, conflict out in the, greater world. So NSDAP gains popularity, but loses our organization. Udet was a great proponent of dive bombing. He was a very good pilot by the age that we're looking at now, 36 and beyond. He was past his prime as being a fighter pilot or dive bomber. Could probably still do it, and do it better than many young people, but not really that he should be out flying a lot of those missions. But he could easily have been leading a Luftfloat, leading the pilots, doing that much better. That is where his talents and training could be. And even if it was going to be administrative, bombs, right? And we'll wait on that. And we'll come over here and get this 36 technology. It would have been maybe putting him in charge of pilot training or something like that. So he's running around managing, whether closely or at a distance, the different pilot schools and managing the curriculum, just how they train pilots and whatnot. That probably would have been if you're looking for a non frontline doesn't mean as in at in the fight, but commanding combat units of the Luftwaffe. If you weren't going to have him do that, it would have been much better to have him on the pilot training side of the situation. Okay, decline. Are these all going to be okay? Yeah, we'll do South Africa, but we'll say no to these. Okay, we have a positive good from the U.S. Can we? Okay, we can do more trades with the U.S. They have rare materials. We want to keep them trading. So we're going to try to buy rare materials from them. We need 12. We're going to be expanding the number of ICs, either literal ICs of putting more on the map, or just on an event that says, hey, this first number versus the second number kind of thing, basic base ICs versus available due to all the effects. So that will also go down as sometimes temporary, like TRE building, which is a temporary one at the bottom there, as 6%. I think that's the Luftministerium, that probably within the month or so that'll go away. The TRE start negative 10% goes away once you start the 4-year program, and then there will also be bonus ones from the 4 years. So we'll go from a negative 10 to then bonuses, and the TRE goes away just because once they paid for the building. Where the Werecrest System 1 will likely stay unless there's a Werecrest System 2 that may just simply replace it as opposed to adding to it, because I see it one, so I'm presuming there's other ones. So, and the Eisenbahn Cannon program, that may go away. So some of these will go away over time. Building air bases in East Prussia will presumably go away at some point. Some of these will come and go. Some of these will stay for long times. Okay. Another fascinating thing, just we won't go into it because I've done it before and you can read here. Television, basically it's the television station. There's the big tower. Freshender Paul Nichtau, Berlin. Basically just in the greater Berlin area. Very, very few people had actual televisions, but they did exist. And there were also big sort of viewing rooms, sort of like theaters, not like a huge theater, but sit 40, 60, 80 people, I don't know, comfortably, and all watch a large screen TV. Particularly they set those up during the Olympics. I don't know how much they were going before and or after it. This is sort of the nothing's going on screen, and what's her name? Ursula Pashnik or whatever, and she would go Achtung, Achtung, Freshender Paul Nichtau, blah 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 at the beginning of every day. That was her job, was Achtung, Achtung, and or other announcing, but she was the sort of face of sort of the basic, coming up next or whatever on TV will be. And it was just, I don't know, maybe it varies from time to time, but the idea of, 4, 6, 8 hours in a day, it's not. And it was basically live programming, at least for the most part. Because obviously we're looking at a record, and there is that recording on YouTube that I did sort of freeze and get some of the images from. They did record some of it and there was some pre-recorded television stuff, but a lot of it was just live performances going on. Okay, 1936 Grand Prix. We were part of our, I think an earlier decision or something sort of triggers some of these, but they're not optional. Cost us a little money to send out a car. Han Shuren, that's him there without the hat. He's holding his hat because he has to have one for that. He was a lot of interesting things about him. He is a he is a Gau Arbeitsführer of the Radreich Arbeitsdienst, but he is also particularly the inspector of physical education. So he is the the workout guy for the Rad, but he was also one of the officer types of some command level, I forget which, down for Warbeck down in Tanganyika during World War I. Just talking about interesting characters, interesting histories. And he is an interesting character. And I don't know his thoughts. I mean, generally, I think he's with the Nazis on a lot of this stuff, and he buys into a lot of it, I'm sure. But he is a body health fitness fanatic, might be the right term. Submarine crew berthing, I guess that can't keep going on until, yep, it's grayed out. Till other things improve. Yeah, we'll do military police. Lots of interesting characters, like there is everywhere. But I just find these in my research and decide to put them in. I'm just sort of waiting, since we're barely ticking down, for another sort of somebody to offer there. Build radio stations, and this is, if you notice, a period advertisement here. But notice it's Germany calling, not Deutschland. So this is dealing with German broadcasts outside of Germany. So this helps public opinion that people are getting the German message, as it were. Metal, we can afford that. Yes, we gotta still build up more metal. Okay, armored fighting vehicles, tracks, and suspension. I think that is not that one. That is this one. Okay. Very similar, and let's do armor plate thickness next. And we don't need as much there. We can reduce that down. And we're still grinding down that one down fairly quick. Ah, yes, you can have energy for the money, even if it's short term. Not a problem. Let's take a look around. We see Mussolini pushing into Abyssinia. And nothing much else going on, like I don't expect anything else going on other than that. Yeah, let's wait for a day or so more. If we can get a couple of reasonable offers for supplies or energy or something to offset our losses. Okay, yeah, we'll get fuel. That still isn't much, but still nice. Okay, production. How are we doing? Okay, we still haven't got many or any of these done. Maybe a few got done. I tried to put them in. That isn't good. Cities that already have a fairly large. 22 is pretty large. 35 is larger, so we focused on a few of those, not on like the 15. 34. So hopefully that percentage, whatever it is, I forget. I have to look in the defines EULA. But hopefully a concentrated will help that out. Push us up. And then, of course, we will be getting lots of benefits coming with the Hermann Goering Works, the 4-year plan, all that stuff will be. Oh, good. Selling supplies to Iraq. Will be things that, and fuel to Soviet Union. Okay, we probably, okay, let's pause this for a moment. 40. Well, let's go down to 70 or so. We still again want to continue to rack up lots and lots of. Why does it still think? Oh, we're at 0 here. Okay, that's why. Okay, and we'll go back down here. Yeah, overproduce and supplies. But that will, which I was hoping, get us through some of this fairly quickly. Okay. Well, when you get this, that means the event picture didn't load in, and something isn't. It's not. It's. Oh, there's a thing you can type in, and I gotta look that up. Well, let's. No, I don't know if we'll do that, but we're gonna save this, and probably end this here. Well, no, let's close this. Cancel. NS Ordensbogen. This is the youth school. You're missing a lot of really cool photos. But if you get this, it's probably best to save. Once you clear out the events, save game and restart. Make sure and don't touch anything until that little hand dial thing, this thing stops. Don't click, don't touch anything. Just wait it out, and this is taking longer than probably should. And people, is this the real series? Is this real? Is this back? And boy, I hope so. But I'm going to check and make sure my drives don't think they should be going to sleep. I know and that saved right. I know that I set them not to go to sleep, but I don't know if a Windows update might have changed that or something. Because that's one of the reasons these things might do what they're doing. But we're near the end of the month, so hopefully we won't lose any events, but they just might. The last of April's events might fire just at the beginning of May instead. So that's all that we would really be losing there. Losing a little bit of time. Okay, so thanks everyone. See you next time for more Hearts of